Hello ladies, it's Jacqueline and this is the hands-on tutorial portion of the workshop for the Lymphatic Breast Health workshop. I'm going to be showing you how to do some hand techniques. I'm just going to be doing it over my bra here so you'll get to see some of the techniques and how they work. And everything is to be done kind of gently. Take your time. It is your own hands, your own body, so you do have access to it for a long time. You don't have to run to a practitioner. So to recap kind of on what we're doing with when it comes to the manual side of things, we're stimulating the lymphatic system, and to start we stimulate the lymphatic node junction sites, which is mainly in the neck and the armpits when it comes to the breast tissue. So just focusing on that. The neck, we're going to loosen that up first, kind of like we did in the other video in the class setting, kind of just rub back and forth. You can even do it side to side this way, one hand at a time. You're just rubbing that area by the collarbones, getting that area nice and stimulated. Then you can tap it. You can even tap up the neck, behind the neck, kind of pull, gently pull forward and down. 3 to 5 times, really gently. This isn't a deep massage, it's not super taxing on the body. It's very easy and gentle. Basically, you're just stimulating the water, stimulating everything that's inside of your body to just move around. So especially in these spots where we don't get a lot of movement. So there's the neck. Now we're going to move on to the armpit. Now you can do some tapping or you can do rubbing. I like to do rubbing, and I like to kind of scoop the whole area because even this area of the back drains to the armpit, and even that area can get congested with like backed up lymph from tight bra straps. So that's a common area, so I often rub back there as well, kind of even on the side of the chest, on the inside of the breast here, or I guess the outside of the breast, rubbing through there. You can tap, even tap up into the arm. Same thing with arm congestion. There can be lymphatic congestion through the triceps and through the shoulder joint here. So just getting that nice and stimulated. Okay. Now the reason it's important to do those areas first is those are the junction sites or the major lymph node clusters, and we want to get those working and prepared for all of the lymph that we're going to send that way. So it's similar to having like traffic on the freeway. You don't just shove it all down the 15. You start where the accident is, or you start where the congestion has started, and that's where you slowly push out and then work your way down to where the drainage can have a complete run through. Okay, so once you've stimulated your neck and armpits, and you can do this laying down or sitting up, but I'm just demoing it sitting up. Then you're going to take your hands and you're going to go from just kind of that upper portion, this is my breast here, you're going to go to the upper portion and then come out towards the armpit. Now the breast tissue lymphatic drainage goes away from the nipple. So for the lower portion of the breast, it kind of like comes down from the nipple and around to the armpit. Out from the nipple and out to the armpit. Up from the nipple, out to the armpit. And the center, it actually kind of drains center and then up and out and center, up and down, depending on the fibers of the breast or the direction. So basically you can do tapping, but that first technique of just lightly, gently putting your hand up on like the top portion of your breast and drain up into the armpit. Now the pressure that you're using is about the weight of your hand. So not like a super deep digging in, you're not massaging the tissue, you're just very gently, like the weight of your hand, almost, if you can see it kind of on my skin here, it's almost as if you're lifting and then recoiling. Lifting and recoiling. So very gentle, almost like your skin is gripping the skin to let it go. That's kind of exaggerated so you can see the movement, but that's going to be the same thing for the breast tissue. So kind of up and relax, up and relax, or let it recoil, kind of let it settle, and then even to the center. And then you can do the same thing on the other side. So starting with that upper portion, really gently coming out, coming around, and then underneath. Now if you find tender spots, and when you're skin to skin you'll feel a lot more in your body rather than just over your clothes. But when you feel tender spots, a good thing to try out is some of the lymphatic decongestion. So you can do that by tapping. I usually have tenderness or more backed up congestion through here because I wore an underwire bra for years. So my breasts just tend to have more stagnant vessels and stagnant lymph in those areas. That's very common. So you can do tapping through that area, and then very light, like pulling away from the nipple and then up towards the armpit. You don't need lotion or oil, but you can use it if you want. Again, it's not like a deep rubbing massage. You can do that too. That feels good, and that's very circulatory as well. But the lighter techniques are what's actually going to target the lymphatic fluid. Even the tapping, while you're not doing like deep tapping, that's a penetrating type of tapping. So you're stimulating all of the vessels and that high water content, circulatory content, and getting that to move. So now that we've done that with the hands, techniques with the rollers and the stones are very similar. So a jade roller, I don't have one with me, but it kind of looks like a razor. It has a roll on the end, and you can just do that. I like to say it's like vacuuming, where you do it like in circular, not circular this way, but back and forth around the nipple on each side. So back and forth and around on each side. You can do that also with your fingers, but if you have the tool, that's great too. If you have the gua sha stone, or you want to use a spoon, which most people prefer using their hands, one, because you can feel it with your own hands and you can kind of like work and manipulate the tissue a little bit better. But the tools are also really nice, especially if you have them, and they're very relaxing. The gua sha stone, it's a flat, soft stone, and you do want to use very, very, very light pressure. So really only the weight of the stone, just like we did with the hand, where it was the weight of the hand. And you would take that stone, so if this was the stone, you would take it and run it flat across the chest in that out away from the nipple direction. So very, very lightly, and it's similar to the hands, but it's a little bit more of a sweep motion, because you don't have to hold it. It's not so much holding the skin, because you will have to have, or it's better to have oil or some kind of lotion. But you can do the hand technique as well, and then stimulating through the sides. You can do it this way, kind of stimulate through the back there. That can feel really good. And then all around through there. And then you can do more of those techniques. Now I do it laying down at night, and I do it about 2 to 3 times a week. And to be honest, I probably actually do it when I'm feeling more congested in my breast tissue, which is often after I've worn a tight bra, when I've had more coffee in my diet, or my diet's been more inflammatory, or I just feel more congested all over in my body. That's when I'll tend to do it. And then also like around my cycle, when either if my breasts are really tender. And the other thing is if I have swollen lymph nodes, which I haven't had in about, I haven't had them in a long time since I started doing these techniques, but if I have swollen lymph nodes in my armpit, these are great techniques to do. If you do have a swollen lymph node in the armpit or near the breast or in the breast tissue area, don't worry, because what it means is the lymph node is just backed up with traffic. That lymph node has extra things to filter, and it's taking its time to filter that out. Sometimes lymph nodes can be painful, and that's because those lymph nodes aren't designed to be super swollen. So when they get super swollen, that just butts up against all those nerves and can be really tender. And that can be a precursor sign for like watch out, or get a mammogram or monitor yourself. But what I would say to that is do these techniques before you do any of that and see if there's a difference, because a lot of times you just need to give your body the time and the tools to do what it needs to do on its own with its own built-in processes. So if you have a lymph node like that, you can do that similar tapping, very, very light tapping. It should feel good, not tender. And then either you can take that rigid roller and go over it back and forth, or you can just simply do very light. I'm going to come up to the camera here. You can do very light techniques. And with the armpit, it's moving in all directions. So there's not really one direction you need to move or pull, but just very light. And you can kind of even see the way I'm in the sun. I'm barely like moving the skin and letting it go. Move the skin and let it go. A little more tapping, a little bit underneath, kind of in all directions, just to get all of the lymphatic fluid moving. You can pull it in, good, pull it down from the arm. Make sure that isn't backed up. And there you go. And again, you can do all of these techniques laying down on your bed, which is great because if you're laying down, I'm just gonna like try to do this on a lounge chair. If you're laying down, you've got gravity working with you. So you can do those techniques a lot more. You can move your breast tissue around a little bit more. You can do a little bit more isolated spots if they're more tender, especially under the wire area, because then that is free to drain. Yeah, that's it. Let me know if you have any questions or need me to go over anything more specifically with you. And any of your feedback is helpful because I'm also in my learning process of how to put this available and make it available online. So thanks again for registering it, and I'm glad you're able to join via Zoom and through the recording.